I grew up pickled in criticism. And that was just how I thought life operated, was if I weren't getting criticized, that there was, something that I was missing.
Oh.
And the criticalness I inherited partly from my grandmother. Never appreciated my mother because she didn't want her to get a swelled head.
Oh.
So imagine growing up with just criticism, and it affected my mother lifelong. And the sense
And yours.
and mine, of course, also. But that whole sense of put other people first, don't elevate yourself. It seems like kind of an aspect of the upper limit problem. Don't be too full of yourself. Other people will bring you down. And so I think there's some protection in that. But I think most people have a default critical brain. And our thinking brain is often sorting for what doesn't work. And our brain keeps things out. So there's a lot of the function of our brain is to protect us from things that might hurt us. But we don't recognize how important our language is in defining the kind of the context in which we hold ourselves. And the thing that most came to me was that when I got criticized, in fact, I was just reliving this little cringe. I would get just this tight
collapse.
I'd go a little bit turtley, just a tiny bit like, ooh, it's going to hurt. And I realized after my mother after a massive stroke, she couldn't speak anymore. And what started to happen was that my shoulders started shifting and started opening up. And I suddenly realized I had been living in this cringe, or the anticipation of a cringe, basically all my life.
What an interesting concept that when you started saying that after her stroke, she couldn't speak, I immediately went to how much more loving that might have been, that she wasn't using her language to attack you or to criticize you. How bizarre that someone would have to no longer be able to speak to be able to somehow connect through loving.
Yes. Well, that was what I experienced, was that I was able to be with her and actually to experience more of her essence and be more of myself. I also would take my dad there, and I would just relentlessly tell the truth. And my mother...
She couldn't respond.
Yeah, so it was like, and I could always make her laugh. But one of the things I would say was like, I know what you're up to, Mom. You're gonna drain all of the savings to take care of you. And she'd giggle, and so
Do you think it softened her up that she couldn't speak? Do you think her language to herself also could have changed?
Wow, I don't think there's any way to actually know that, but my sense was that she did soften, was able to receive. She had no choice. She needed
help.
Mm-hmm. Well, she spent 3.5 years where she couldn't eat, she couldn't move, and she couldn't talk. It was something. And one of the things that I learned from that was how vital it is to learn to speak to myself lovingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because hearing is the first sense that develops in utero. So we can hear by 5 months development. And so those first messages, the first tones, the pace, just the context, the words have so much power, not just in the definition, but in the force that's behind them, in the repetition.